Hi, I'm Gordon Mole, Head of Business and Employability at Fife Council, and I'm really pleased to introduce this animation and video about the research into No One Left Behind Fife. In 2018, Scottish Government introduced No One Left Behind as a new framework for supporting those with key barriers to employment. In 2019, the Opportunities Fife Partnership worked with those with lived experience, developing the first No One Left Behind commissioning framework for adults, young people, families, and those requiring specialist support. This co-production and shared oversight approach has continued into the current round of funding. This funding has seen new and innovative programmes of support, covering all of Fife's geographies and implemented by a wide range of providers. This evaluation explores whether this programme has been successfully delivered and is meeting the key aims. In order to evaluate whether the programme has been successful, 5 different employability organisations were chosen to review. The evaluation process involved interviewing different service providers and those with lived experience from each of these different organisations and investigating their experience of the No One Left Behind programme and the effect that it has on services. To maintain confidentiality, for the purposes of this video, any quotes used from both those with lived experience and providers are anonymised and their real voices are not used. I hope you find this video and the research that sits behind it both useful and informative.
To begin with, service providers from the different organisations were interviewed. The No One Left Behind partnership was found to have allowed service providers to provide a broader range of support and services than before the partnership began. Prior to the partnership, people accessing these employability services were referred to additional services if needed. However, the funding meant that the users could be accessing more than one provider at the same time. These extra services could involve assisting them with their health, housing situation, childcare, and more. This meant that the No One Left Behind partnership could therefore strengthen the overall personal development approach of the service, through allowing for a more diverse range of services provided. The funding broadened the eligibility criteria, allowing the services to take on a wider range of people using the services, including people who are already in employment. One of the service providers explained it by saying,
I think that's one of the things that's really good now, is the flexibility that people can go around all parts of the service and be involved almost in all parts of the service. And it's lovely now that we can all work together in that sense, all input our own bit towards what that person needs to move them forward.
The majority of service providers acknowledge the long-term aspect of their work, as many people using the services face personal challenges which are not quick fixes and require long-term support in order to build a trusting relationship with the providers. One particular service provider summed it up by saying,
"We work with them for 6 months and help them with sort of, maybe recognising their values, their strengths, weaknesses, what they like to improve on, where they want to go in life, what they want to do with themselves, what things they need to improve. We'd also be working with them on sort of employability skills as well. So maybe job applications, writing CVs, stuff like that."
Some of the service providers felt that there should be more of an emphasis on clients' progress in areas such as self-confidence or independent travel, with less of an emphasis on employability outcomes in recording and monitoring systems.
I think there's a huge emphasis on outcomes, which is fine, that's okay, but I think for me the outcomes are very employability driven, and I think there's a slight lack of appreciation that some of these young people are just not quite employment ready. They've got a few steps to go, given that actually if you look at their school career, etc., they're quite a wee bit behind a lot of other young people.
Several service providers discussed issues caused by the annual funding cycle, including the difficulty of planning services and giving staff job security in the longer term. Delays with receiving important guidance and documentation, including detailed client eligibility criteria, had also created uncertainty. While funding had not been cut, the overall pot was smaller, limiting the availability of discretionary funds. Some providers felt that decision makers would benefit from a greater understanding of the challenges involved in delivering services. Next, we interviewed the people accessing these services, gaining insight into their experiences with the services. Overall, the feedback from this group about the employability services was very positive. It was identified by users that the services were provided with a non-judgmental approach and were person-centered. They described the referral process as easy and were satisfied with the accessibility of the services.
I would say I found it really quite easy to access, aside from Wi-Fi difficulties on my part and stuff like that can't be helped. But I would say the communication's been really good and there's been a lot of reminder emails and updates with links, so I found it quite easy.
People accessing the services determined a range of positive outcomes from the services provided, including providing them with training, helping them to build their confidence, assisting with job applications, and increasing motivation. In particular, the improvements in the wider personal development of individuals was noted as a huge outcome from this funding programme.
I would describe as being very motivating, very engaging, and also very fun. Just being able to interact with different people and really a reason to get up and properly wake up. Once I'm up and getting my brain working and moving, and I feel a lot better after the group. And I tend to do more on days where I'm starting off attending the group, so very, very motivating and engaging.
The interviews also found a lot of practical advantages from the programme, with the services providing assistance with applications for employment, as well as developing key skills.
I have had various workshops, particularly on developing IT skills, which I am very poor at, and working on my CV, letters and things like that, how to most effectively seek employment, and generally technical advice like that.
For Phase 2, service providers and service users engaged with the FIRST research team from the beginning and throughout the project to its conclusion. Without their honesty, contribution, insight and sharing of their experiences, then I believe that the evaluation would not be person-centred and insightful, which will inform future practice. The evaluation of the commissioning process for No One Left Behind Fife has provided valuable indicators of what is working well in the current structure and process, and where beneficial action can be taken. It has truly been an honour and a privilege working with the FIRST research team and the No One Left Behind providers, as without them there would be no report.
In summary, the service providers and the people accessing the services both felt that the No One Left Behind programme was useful, but suggested that some improvements could be made in the programme. The funding was seen to allow the service providers to expand on the emphasis of personal growth, while continuing to assist users with employability services. One of the people accessing the services summed up the services well by saying,
I think the group's great. It's been really good for me. It's been really, really helpful. The people that do it, the coaches, are so understanding and lovely. And yeah, I've just found it overall really helpful and I would recommend it to anybody.
If you would like to find out more about the project, please click on the link for the website below.